So now let's skip forward to his second year as a monk. On the 19th of December, I was almost gored by a water buffalo while walking for alms to a local village. I usually walked with 2 other monks, but on that day I went alone because a number of monks had been invited to take their meal at a layperson's house. The alms route passed 2 villages which are about 2 kilometers apart from each other. Normally, when there were more monks, we divided into 2 groups to create 2 routes, with each group going to a different village. Both villages had lay people with strong faith, so I chose to walk to both so that all would have the opportunity to give alms. If one walks along the road, it's a round trip of 6 kilometers from the monastery to both villages. I felt that I didn't have enough time to walk to both places by myself, so I set out early at about 5:30 a.m. and took a shortcut across the paddy field embankments. When I was about 250 meters from the road going into the village, I saw 4 buffalo walking along another embankment approximately 50 meters from me. They had been let out from the village by their owner and released to graze for the morning. The instant I noticed them, all 4 proceeded to cut across the paddy field and walk directly towards me. This gave me an odd feeling. The manner of the buffalo didn't look right and was not to be trusted. I recollected the words of a fellow monk who said, "The buffalo in this area are very aggressive and at times have almost gored monks. The owners of some have to cover the animals' eyes with their hands to prevent them from seeing any monks walking by." Remembering this, I looked to the 4 buffalo. They consisted of a mother, a bull, and their 2 calves. The mother led the way for her 2 calves, while the bull kept to the rear. As I walked, I kept a constant watch on them, while also extending feelings of metta towards them, but I felt a strange foreboding. When I came within 25 meters of the buffalo, I noticed some abnormal behavior in the mother. Instead of leading the way for her 2 calves, it turned around to take up the rear and walk beside the bull. She and the bull proceeded to hurriedly push the calves forward with their horns. The direction in which they were pushing the calves towards was a stretch of the route I had to take to enter the village. Once they had driven the 2 calves off the embankment and into a field, the male continued to drive them along. I had noticed things didn't look right when the female began to push her calves forward, so I concentrated in my mind on extending metta to all 4 buffalo. As I walked, I never let them out of sight. By the time I was close to them, they had already passed the route I was walking. They were 2 or 3 meters away from me on an adjacent field. The female had stopped and stood to the rear with its back to the route I was taking. As I stepped onto the corner of the embankment that I had to walk along, the buffalo had almost walked to the field's opposite end. The female turned and jumped onto the embankment opposite to me, which was about 10 meters away. Its movements were like those of a boxer about to jump up into the ring. I remained cautious the whole time. Then it started charging towards me like a boxer not waiting for the bell, leaving his opponent wondering what the other is angry about. From the time the buffalo jumped up on the embankment, my mind immediately gathered and became one-pointed, calm and concentrated. I didn't think about anything at all. I had no concerns, not even for my own life, but I did think this time it's going to get me for sure. My heart possessed only metta as its weapon of defense. I thought to myself, I've come here to develop the practices of a samana, practicing with an aim to seek out the truth and transcend all suffering. I have no intention to harm anyone. I'm of harm to no being at all. As I stood there, my eyes remained fixed on those of the buffalo, extending metta without thinking anything at all. The charging buffalo stopped only 4 or 5 steps away from me. It stood and thrashed its horns about for a while before going down from the embankment to walk back to the corner it had previously been standing at. The whole incident was very strange. Once it had left the embankment I was standing on, I continued to walk, but only took a few steps forward when it again came at me. It paid no attention to its owner's shouting and came charging straight towards me like before. The situation was serious. I focused my mind and thought, if in a past life I've ever harmed or done you wrong, then go ahead and charge into me, but may there be no more feelings of ill will or vengefulness between us. When the thought had finished, the buffalo stopped short just 2 or 3 paces away. As I gazed into its eyes, I could sense that it didn't mean to be aggressive. Its eyes seemed merely to express concern for its calves. It was probably afraid the two were in danger because I was walking in the direction that they had to pass. A mother's love for her offspring makes her protective. Watching the whole incident were 2 or 3 people who were warming themselves by a fire near the village. One was probably the owner, and he ran shouting, trying to drive the buffalo away. He then hit the animal to drive it along. I thanked him and said I was all right. I told him not to hit the animal because it was only protecting its calves. The moment it appeared that the buffalo was going to run into me, I could feel my mind quickly gathering in concentration. It felt as though my mind was floating in the air above, watching 2 objects about to collide. I thought my body was going to get trampled for certain, and I probably would not survive. I pictured it just like 2 trains colliding. In my heart, however, I felt no fear or aversion, nor was I even slightly startled. Instead, I felt normal without any worries or concerns at all, not even for my life or body. It's hard to describe accurately, but I felt very much at ease.